Whoa, we are back, baby! Couch Warriors in the house! Whoa, it's been a long time coming. Well, it's only been a few months, but it feels like a long time coming. Hey everyone, how's it going? I'm your co-host, John Lazaron. I'm here with my co-host, Richard, the bandwagon conductor, Laddie, bro. We are back.
Kia ora, John. Kia ora, followers. Kia ora, listeners. Oh, it's so good to be back. I can't believe it. It's been a long summer. Unfortunately, the weather hasn't really gone our way as well, so it's made it even longer, drag on. But yeah, we're only a couple of weeks to Warriors footy. We've got NRL footy this weekend, and I am pumped.
Yeah, bro. I mean, like you said, I'm just pumped to be back as well. But to be honest with you, bro, I was just thinking, just at the top of my head, like, this is now our third season into this. Did you think we would make it this far? I mean, when we started this, people don't know. I don't know if a lot of people know the backstory, but we worked together in a comms team, Health New Zealand, and then we just ended up figuring out that we both loved the Warriors, and we thought, let's give this a go. And we kind of rushed it because we called ourselves couch coaches. We didn't do any research into thinking how many podcasts or social media channels have couch coaches as their name. But
It's true.
yeah, we're now into our third season, mate. How are you feeling about that all?
Yeah, it's exciting times. We were actually, I think our first Facebook name, we were so rushed that I called us Coaches. So,
You did.
And we couldn't change the name for 60 days. So it was a great start for the potty. I think the first podcast we recorded, we recorded it wrong and we couldn't use the footage. So yeah, it was a real good start for us. But we're obviously doing it remotely now. I live in Whanganui, you live in Wellington, but we're able to keep going with the joys of the internet. But yeah, it's good to be back. Obviously, we're seeing a lot of engagement on the channels over the off season. We feel that there's obviously a lot of people out there who similarly love the Wars like we do. But yeah, good to be back. Obviously, when we started 2023, it was a good season for the Warriors. They went far and nearly made the grand final, and then we've sort of been up and down since then. But I got a good feeling about this season, bro.
Yeah, well, mate, the season hasn't started, but there's a lot going on, I'll tell you that. Just this week alone, we've had some big news coming from the Warriors, and you've got Tuapiki, just today signing on a 2-year extension to 2028, and that's big news. And I've got a lot of thoughts on that, but like the big news, obviously, is co-skipper Mitch Barnett leaving the Warriors at the end of the season, getting released from his contract 1 year early, to go to Australia because of for family and also because of his child that to attend to their medical needs, which is totally fair enough in my opinion. But big news and sad news as well because on one hand I know you'll be with me on this one because we're both fathers, so we understand where he's coming from that perspective. We're fathers of young families, you and I, and so I can understand him putting his child first, which is awesome. But at the same time, just sad because Mitch Barnett is an amazing player. I love the guy, and I don't think there is one Wars fan out there that is upset. That doesn't love the guy. They all love him. We all love him. He's done a bit of a Kevin Campion sort of Steve Price sort of deal. He's come in and done what they did with the Warriors. They became fan favourites, but also got the job done on the field, not only on a physical sort of playing level, but on a leadership level as well. So. Yeah, big news. I just want to get your thoughts on the whole breaking news of Mitch Barnett heading back to Australia.
I mean, yeah, much the same as you, bro. As you said, I'm also a father, so I understand the family aspect of it, especially with a sick child. But I think when I first heard the news, I didn't hear that context, so my original, reaction was, oh, here we go, not again, the old compassionate grounds. So the ACC have got the compassionate grounds 13 up, which I had a good little chuckle at that. But then you obviously hearing the context, you understand. But real shame for the club. I think, he's obviously a co-captain now. You wouldn't have thought that when he came to the club he would be in such a leadership role, but he has in the last sort of 3 years. He's just got better and better as the seasons have gone on. When he first came out, when we first signed him, I was like, this is a bit random. He obviously had a bit of a reputation of being a bit of a grub. Probably had some potential, but hadn't lit the world on fire. But seems to have just come leaps and bounds since coming to the Warriors. So hopefully, whoever picks him up, I see that sounds like the Broncos are pretty keen with old Payne Haas going to the Rabbitohs. That was another shocking sort of our off-season revelation. from a couple of weeks ago. It was a good
See,
friend of
really?
mine, a good friend of mine, Mr. Harmosh, a good friend of the podcast. He's a big South Sydney Rabbitohs fan. It was the day after his wedding, so we told him that it was a late wedding present for him, is that we organised Payne Haas to the Rabbitohs. But yeah, I mean, I'm gutted, but I do believe that there's depth in the club. Obviously, like a lot of the depth sort of probably sitting more on the edges as opposed to the middles. But
Yeah.
you know, we've got Dimitrik and Tinsdale Smith, and there's a couple of other young guys that are coming up to New South Wales Cup and all that hopefully can fill the shoes. So it'll be interesting to see whether we splash out. I mean, it sounds like there's a lot of talk of the player trade as opposed to you know, because this whole Zach Lomax situation with the Eels and the Storms sort of opened up a can of worms there, and it seems like from what Cameron George is saying, he wants to go down the same route and have more of a player swap, and because it obviously comes back to not being taken out of the salary cap. So it'll be interesting to see whether they splash out on the middle or whether I think they'd be smarter to go elsewhere, maybe a half or a centre. I think the two spots particularly that we've been lacking in the last few years, and once we've had a few injuries, it's really shown. So, but yeah, I mean, the message to Mitch is thanks for your service, thanks for playing out the season. I think you know, I wouldn't have been surprised if it, you know, when family comes down to it, if he had left. So yeah, it'd be good. Hopefully, we can sort of send him out on a high note and finally get that elusive premiership.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that you mentioned the whole you know, the ACC bringing out their compassionate grounds 13 side, because I remember you messaging me the other day saying, oh, you know, like we should do this. We should do a compassionate grounds 13, and then I said, oh, ACC had done that, and you're like, oh, did they? So it's quite funny because you know you weren't the only one thinking that, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is that, you know, if you know, ACC thought it, Herald did it, I think you thought it, I'm sure that many others will be thinking the same thing, because it has become a bit of a trend at the Warriors, you know, the whole leaving on compassionate grounds. And for me, you know, because they're in New Zealand, you know, you're probably going to exceed that a bit, but for me, it's like what you know what annoys me more about, you know, about this whole compassionate grounds thing is that They get taken in by the Warriors when they're not in a bit of a high in their careers. They're in either in a low, or you know, they're just, you know, just sort of just floating by. They come to the Warriors, and the Warriors they step up when they come to the Warriors. I don't know what it is. I'm not saying it's because the Warriors, you know, because we're not winning premierships. We haven't won one before, but you know, they something happens that ignites them to the point where it attracts, you know, it attracts the rival clubs. You know, catching their eye, and they're like, oh, okay, you've caught our attention now, do you want to come over? And then they're like, oh yeah, I'd rather be back in Sydney, or you know, I'd rather be back in Brisbane because that's where I'm from. And then they ask for a release. So that's the annoying part for me, is that, you know, it seems to be like a stepping stone to getting your career back on track, being at the Warriors. And then once you've got that done, once that's done, you're gone. I mean, you look at the likes of James Maloney, for example, had an awesome career, you know, done well. He played Origin, played for the Kangaroos. Won premierships as well, but before he did all that, he got his name sort of rose up with the Warriors, and then he left. You know, there's other players that we can know. There's a lot of players you can mention there, but it's just for me, it's a sad thing, and I'm glad that Cameron George is not just saying, okay, I'll put it this way. I'm glad that he is supporting Barnett, you know, because you know he has a genuine reason to go, you know, for his family and stuff, and to be for his child, and also to be close to family. For them to help out. Totally understand that, but at the same time, he's saying, well, despite the fact that we are very supportive of Mitch Barnett, there is a business component to this as well. You know, we're not just going to let him go through and then another club thrive on someone that, you know, has been doing really well at our club, and then they get all the advantage of it. Give us someone back. And he did say that we're not interested in money transfers because, you know, it doesn't free up, you know, salary cap. It doesn't do nothing for the cap. So, yeah, so like I'm glad he said that, you know, in the clubs that there've been several clubs that are interested in Barnett, but the three that have been named, like, you know, named by his agent, Gavin Orr, is Broncos, Parramatta, and also St George apparently have come in and fielded a big interest in them. So when you look at those three teams, for example, I know that Newcastle most likely will be interested because that's the closest club to where he's from. That's where he wants to go back to, where his family are. I can't remember the names. Is it Tari or something like that? Terry? I don't know how you pronounce it. I'm not Australian, but
Yeah, I feel like I've watched some Terry dogs in my
Tari, yeah,
days,
Tari's
yeah.
Tari. I'm not sure. Sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. Sorry, no offense to anyone, but I feel like out of those, just quick question, out of those three clubs, the ones that have just have publicly stated their interest, with the agent, Broncos, Eels, St George, who would you take in as a trade? Can you think of, is there anyone on top of your head that you would take in, like a player that you would want to take in?
Off the top of my head, probably no one from the Dragons, to be honest. I think they are looking pretty diabolical this year.
Yeah.
I mean, the Broncos have got some pretty good players. Who did I say we need before? A centre or a...
Well, Jesse Arthur's has got one more year, but he was at the Warriors. I liked him when he was at the Warriors, but
Yeah,
he's on the outer in the Broncos. Like, he's not favourite. He's not on the starting lineup anymore. He was, but he's no longer there. Even with Cobo out, he's not there. Well, I don't think he's.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jesse Arthurs is potentially someone that you could bring in because he can cover wing and centre.
Yeah, maybe Katoni Staggs. Wouldn't say no to Katoni Staggs. He's a pretty good player. Shibasaki's probably, he was pretty good last year, but he's probably...
Oh, they won't get rid of him. They won't release him. They won't release him.
A little bit past his best. And then when you look at the Eels, I like the look of the Eagles this year. Actually, they're looking like they've got a pretty good squad. I mean, you're probably not going to get either of their halves either, so you're probably still looking at a centre, and I can't even think of who their centres are this year. So, I'll go Tony Staggs.
Nice. I would go Jesse Arthurs as a more realistic option, just because I don't think they'd get rid of. I don't think Brisbane would give up Tony Staggs, but I mean, because Cameron George said a player or two, so I don't think he's expecting someone that's really high up there. I think he's expecting someone that could do the job, and I think Jesse Arthurs can do the job. And I think if we're going to look at fill gaps in that squad,
do we need another outside back though?
I think we do. I think we do because that's. I mean, I don't think we need forwards because I think we've got plenty of up and coming forwards that are there ready to go. I honestly think that we keep going down in that centres, the centres area, and there's an outside back area, wingers, even the halves. Yeah.
I'm not denying the centre, that's for sure. I think the centre's where we really need it.
Yeah.
But or a good half, but I mean Reynolds has probably not got too much longer left in him.
Well, he's retiring at the end of the season, so
Ezra Mam, no thank you.
Yeah, well look, we'll leave it at that because we've got a lot to go on with. But like you said, mate, thank you, Mitch Barnett, for even though it was a shorter stint at the Warriors, you've done plenty, and like you said, bro, hopefully the Warriors can, finish the season on a high to let him go on a high, back in. He even said himself, Mitch Barnett, I want to win a premiership, with the team. He wants to go hard. And did you see the video of him talking about his decision that the Warriors did? You could see that he was quite emotional. Could you see how emotional he was? He looked a little bit teary as well. I mean, that was my first thought when I saw him. I could see that you could see by his emotions, the way how he spoke about this, that this was not an easy decision. It wasn't like, I'm going, like, sweet as, I'm going over. It was like, this was a hard decision because this club has been so good to me. But I'm putting my family first, which is why, for me, full respect for Mitch Barnett for doing that. And full respect to the club for letting him do that. But also, full respect to the club for also saying, we want something in return because, we always give back the players back over and we get nothing in return. Yeah, so good on him. But next big piece of news. Dane Tuapiki, my boy Tuapiki. Last year, if you've been watching the show for quite a while, then you'll know that we're big advocates for Tuapiki.
Last 2 years, man. Yeah. Last 2 years we've been singing our boys' praises.
Yeah, we have, and it's great news. But honestly, bro, when this news hit, well, just not that long ago, about 4 or 5 hours ago, when this news hit, I was excited because, as we said, we're big Tuapiki fans. But at the same time, I was like, interesting. I did not see that coming. I honestly thought that if people were going to, that they were going to lose people, he would be one of the ones on the top of the list. Because he's that good of a player to be missing out on first grade. You can't just leave him in playing New South Wales Cup all the time. I could be wrong with the stat, but since he joined in 2023, I think he's only played like between 20 and 30 first grade games. And I could totally be wrong. And that's what...
No,
3 seasons.
that sounds about right, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, so over 3 seasons, he only played about like 23, first grade games, and to me, that's just like a bit far out. I would have thought he would have got a bit frustrated, especially when
25.
25. Well, there you go. See, it was close. I was in the run in
Yeah.
between there, and with 25 games, I'll be really frustrated, not getting game time. So to sign on for another 2 years, because he signed an extension, and then now he's signed another extension for 2028. So he must have had chat. There must have been some talks about him being looked at as the long term fullback.
Yeah, for sure.
Because why would you sign on when you could probably go somewhere else? The Perth Bears are looking for people, PNG Chiefs as well, but I don't think it'd go there. But I'm just saying that I was really surprised. As much as I was so happy because for our boy Tuapiki to be signing on, I was really really surprised that he did sign on. So there must be some talks there about him playing fullback long term in the future.
Yeah, bro. I mean, I remember when last year when they announced Chance had re-signed, and he signed till the end of 2027.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was like, that must mean Tuapiki's going, because he's too good of a player to be playing New South Wales Cup every week. Just quickly check how old Tuapiki is. Born in 1999, so what does that make him? About 27. So yeah, he's not getting any younger.
Yeah.
So there must have, that was, when I heard this news today, it was my initial first thought was exactly the same. It was like, he must have been told that, that number one jersey is going to be yours soon, hopefully next weekend, and then they'll figure out what to do with Chance. I mean, I think we both love Chance,
We do.
but I just. He offers a lot defensively, but you look at just the best number ones in the game, and they all offer so much. Probably with the exception of likes of Dylan Edwards, who is probably a similar mould to Chance. They all offer a lot more on attack, and I think that's what we've been sort of lacking the last few years, is just that spark. We are a very good defensive. I mean, and I suppose the way the Warriors have sort of playing under Andrew Webster, as they are a very defensive team, but I think you still need to have that spark, and I think that Tuapiki's proven that he can defend out the back as well. So I was excited to hear the news, and I am 3 more years there. He's obviously been tapped on the shoulder, because I'm sure there's a few clubs that would have been like, wouldn't mind having him on the books, there's a few clubs that would be looking for a fullback, and every time he's had a chance, I think I was watching a video from a good friend, Warrior Holic today, and he was talking about how often when Tuapiki's played, he's ended up playing with a sort of second team almost, when they've had some really key injuries in key places, and he's ended up coming in and had a pretty tough game time in some of the games. You never doubt his effort, so I think, as Zane was saying, he wants to see Tuapiki have a good run with some fit players this year, with the A team, with the number one team. It'd be really cool to see. So that's sort of what I'm looking for, because he's obviously going to get some time out there. I don't think I think he played a few games on the wing last year from memory, but he did.
He did well. Can I just jump in there quickly, because when Dallin was out with injury. When DWZ was out with injury, he stepped up into his position and did really well. And so as soon as DWZ came back from injury, they swapped him out. And that's just for, we're not the coaching staff, so, it's easy for us to criticise. But I didn't think it was the right move, because he was doing so well, and everything was, we were winning. We were winning as well, and then everything turned ugly, a little bit turned ugly a bit there. And I'm not trying to say that's all on DWZ, I'm not. I'm just saying that he was very rusty, which is fair enough, because he's just come back from an injury, and he was very rusty. And I think even he admitted he was rusty. But they kept him going, and they took Tuapiki out, and I just thought it was really really unfair on him, because he was doing the job and doing it well in a winning team, and then sort of fell apart a little bit at some points, especially in our attack. But it's going to be an interesting one, because I think Tuapiki, like you said, is great, and I think Chance, if he could emulate, if he can sort of repeat what he did with the Kiwis playing centre because obviously with Stacey Jones being the coach, he thought Kenny was the was a better option at fullback, so he put him there. But he put Chance at centre, and Chance did an amazing job. He was the man, did an amazing job. So that would give me confidence to put him in there and have Tupiki, have the best of both worlds. But the thing is, if you have Chance in centre, you got only one spot to fill, and then you've got between. I mean, I'm not going to include Rocco Berry here because unfortunately that guy just we all say can't catch a break. Yeah, unfortunately he's it's real sad for Rocco because he's a nice guy. Like I've met him. Well, we met on Zoom. I interviewed him on a Zoom call for writing an article many years ago, and he's a nice guy. He's a great guy and stuff, and I just feel sorry for him because he's a great player, and he's just imagine him just setback after setback. But anyway, I'm not going to include him in this one because I know he's injured. The other spot, will be fighting between Leotawa and Pompey, and I think Pompey deserves to be there, and I think Leotawa, you can't leave him out either. So what do you do? Because Pompey, for me, a lot of people sort of go hard at Pompey, but I think he does a great job. I think he does the job. I think we're sort
of over giving Pompey a hard time, exactly. A hard time. But ever since I think it was 2020, the end of 2023, when everyone was like, oh, he's actually playing pretty good. I think he played every game in that season, or was it the season afterwards? So no, I'm with you there. I think Pompey's done a lot to sort of earn the fans' respect in the last few years.
Yeah. Well, if he's just like you say it like that, he's done enough to justify his spot in the starting side. So I don't think you should be outing him for someone just to come in. That's what I reckon as well. And I remember we put a post up on socials about that, and most people, about 95% of people agreed. We had a lot of feedback on that one, so a lot of comments on that one. So I think everyone agrees that Pompey, he's justified. His spot is justified. Whether that Webster does it or not, I don't know. I don't know if he goes with Leotawa and Chance, or who knows what's going to happen. I think the big other question is the winger's spot. Is do we start with DWZ or Cam Pereira? Who are we going with? That's the interesting one, because I mean Roger will have one. We know we there's no point in trying to say can DWZ and Cam Pereira be on both wings, because we know that
Roger can play centre, can't he?
He's the funny thing is that he's actually in his profile in his Warriors profile his position is labelled as centre. But I don't. We know he's not a centre. I know you are, but he's not a centre. We know that. So who would you choose? Just putting you on the spot here, mate. Who would you choose?
Well, if you remember from my hot take, I had Cam Pereira starting. Yeah. Then a few people did come at me and said, he plays on the left, which I'm aware of. Maybe he could switch to the left and Roger to go to the right. But he played on the right for the All-Star in the All-Stars game. Cam Pereira did. And he seemed to have a pretty good game there. Didn't look too out of place. So I'm chips in on Cam Pereira. We've talked about it last couple of years. We've been lacking just out and out pace in the back line, and sure there's some defensive liabilities, but I mean Chance was hardly lighting the fire. Not Chance. Dallin was hardly lighting the fire. Lighting the world on fire on both attack and defence last year, was he? So there is something weird there. Like they just seem really reliable. They were just kept picking Dallin last year, and he just he was good in 2023, but I feel like we've had 2 seasons of him being not great, and they just picked him. I think he's got some dirt on Webster. He must have some dirt on Webster. That's why they keep picking him.
Well, unfortunately for DWZ, I know everyone gives him a lot of crap about his defensive efforts, but the thing is that you can't just always blame him because it's not just the centre inside of him. It's the forwards inside of him. Those edge forwards as well. If they cram in too fast, too easily, he's got no choice but to come in. That's where that right edge is having issues, because they seem that right edge crams in too quickly, and creating an overlap for a lot of teams. And when that happens, everyone, because Dallin's the last man, on that defensive line, it's always the finger gets pointed at him. But I think that you can't just say this is Dallin's fault. The team crams in, so he just follows what his inside man is doing. So I'm not trying to say point fingers as well. I'm just saying that's what that right edge is doing. They're cramming in too fast. from what I'm observing, even in the trials, there's just that cramming in on too fast, too quickly, instead of just waiting a little bit. But it's gonna be interesting to see what that would come round one, what that team's gonna look like. Because especially with the 6-man bench, and let's just move on to the 6-man bench quickly. Just give a quick minute on that. Thoughts on the 6-man bench? Yes or no?
Yeah, I'm for it.
Right.
I think it'll benefit teams. But the only concern is that it might stop players from good New South Wales Cup players playing too much, because they might sort of be there as that extra player but never really called on. But we'll see how. I'm really intrigued to see how teams approach it, as far as what positions they're going to be and what they're going to seem to be filling up. Because I was even just doing a little sort of predict the team for next week, and I was thinking about who the extra 2 were going to be, because you got the idea of the 4, but you kind of have to think about the 6, and then and make sure all positions are sort of covered. But yeah, I'm for it.
Well, fair enough. I'm still 50-50 on it, mate.
Come on, mate.
Nah,
you put me on the spot. I mean, you're like, oh man, you're 50-50.
Oh no, not like that. Because I'm just giving you a genuine answer. I'm just giving you a genuine answer because, honestly, it's a good idea from a strategy point of view. If someone goes down, this happens to the Warriors a lot. If a half goes down, we've got someone that can go in there and replace them. And cover that spot. That's more aligned to that role. But what does that mean for the players? That are they going to go on a rotate? I think I heard that they're going to rotate players just so they make sure they get game time, because there are going to be players that they miss out. Because the 6-man bench, people, I don't know. I think most people realize this, but with the 6-man bench, you can still only use 4 players in the whole game. So 2 players are always going to miss out. The two extra players are there just in case something happens, mid-game, and something happens and you need to replace someone with a like for like. And that's what it is for. So the risk of that is that people will miss out on game time. And for me, those sort of people are going to be like the Healy's, And when Tamari Martin comes about and when he gets back, on the field from his broken leg, there'll be going to be a lot of, tossing up who's going to go there, who's going to do this. So
Healy's 14, isn't he?
I would think so. I love Healy, and going back to the Tuapiki thing about thinking how he might leave because he's not getting first grade time on the field. I'm worried about Sam Healy as well being in that sort of category, because he's that good. He is that good. I know he says that. I remember him late last year saying, because there were rumours floating around about him leaving. He was like, I don't know where those rumours have come from. I love it here. So he loves it at the club, and I expect to see Sam Healy extended as well. I expect to see that. I honestly do, because he's a great player. But I also expect.
Time total off the top of your head?
No, not off the top of my head. I can't remember. I'm gonna have to look it up. But I expect to see him extended as well. I expect you'll see at some point. He's one player you don't want to leave. So he's one player I want him to stay on. So I'd put him in that category, or be careful, be very just be cautious about Healy and his game time, because you don't want him to get to a point where I'm not getting game time here, but there are clubs out there that will give me game time. Yeah. So I'll put him in that. I'll put him in that category. So anyway,
he's started in 2027 as well, so we've got him for 2 more years.
Yep. Okay.
No compassionate grounds.
Yeah, I hope not. That's the thing. That's the thing. But he's quite young, so I think he's got time to be able to bide his time here and hopefully get an extension. I really hope he stays on and gets it. I reckon if he does decide to stay, I reckon they'll extend him. I reckon they will, because he's that good of a player. I know there's some young guns coming through, but he's that good of a player. We need to keep him. And he's getting confident by the game. Each game goes by, he gets more confident. So. So the 6-man bench, I'm still that's where I'm at with it. Yes, I can see the benefit of it for a team, especially for the Warriors, but at the same time, does it always benefit all the players? But we'll have to wait and see how it's been used, how Webster uses that going into the season. Trials. Did you watch the trials at all?
I watched the first half of the second one, and I kind of watched most of the first one, but I was solo parenting and it was chaos around home. So I do find it quite hard to get too excited about them, but it's good to have a bit of footy on, and it was good to sort of keep an eye on it. Obviously, sort of the Warriors seem to sort of how to lit the world on fire from what I saw. It looked pretty good in the first half of that Dolphins game that I watched. But yeah, there was sort of elements of it. I definitely would have. I don't know whether it would have sort of like for Webster watching it, whether he would have been like, this is sorted now, or this, like I know who's definitely going to play fullback. I know who's definitely going to play second row. With some of those positions where maybe we're not so sure about. There's quite a few players sort of competing for different positions. But yeah, I thought like from what I saw of Chance the other day, like he looked pretty good against the Dolphins. It was cool to see Luke Hanson get a run, and I'm sure we'll talk about it. So yeah, whether he's going to be playing this week. There has been a bit of chatter about him playing in the 6 jersey.
Yep.
I thought Dallas Smith was great. It was good to see him sort of. He's looking really fit and ready for the season, especially with Barnett still out for a week or two. He'll definitely get some game time there.
Yeah.
A great first half effort from Jackson Ford in that Dolphins game as well. He was someone who I'd sort of forgotten about. He wasn't in my original equations, but I think he has to be there. The effort.
Yeah. He puts in the minutes and he doesn't slow down. So that's the benefit of a Jackson Ford in your team.
You're always going to get a penalty. Or a 6 again. Yeah,
or a 6 again. But he can play long minutes, and that's quite rare for a forward to be able to go that long. Like a full game with having limited time on the bench. Sort of thing. So he's got that benefit of him. For me, the trials the Manly game was atrocious. I thought it was pretty atrocious. Even Webster, I don't think Webster would have been happy with that performance at all. But because he did say that he did say, and I actually put a quote on our social channels. The most exciting part about all that was the young guns coming in at the end. Man, I got excited about Harry Inch. He only had a few carries and stuff, and he was only on for a short amount of time. But man, he looked good. Yeah. Had the ball. He was playing in the halves. Had a bit of direction. He was actually looking for the ball. Wasn't afraid to take a hit up as well. And man, he missed the conversion because it hit the upright. But he can kick. He was from the sideline. He's got a good boot on him. You can tell he's got a rugby union sort of boot to him. You know what I mean? Because that's where he's come from. He's come from a rugby union background. Was in the Crusaders academy there. Was in New Zealand secondary schools under 20s 5'8" as well. So it's a rugby union losing another one, and he looked amazing. I remember putting on social saying, is it just me, but is anyone else getting excited about Harry Inch? And everyone was getting excited about Harry Inch. So I don't know if we'll see him get his first grade debut this season. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that they'll probably give him a season. Like he's playing. I can't remember if it's SG Ball or Harold Matthew. I can't remember which one it was. I sometimes get confused about the age group, which one was which. But it'd be good to see him play, New South Wales Cup, get frequent game time there. And I got excited about Harry Inch. There were a lot of other players there that were doing really well. You could see that they were hungry for the ball. They were hungry to prove a point. They wanted to put their hand up, which is really good. And I think Webster acknowledged that as well. Dolphins trial was a lot better, as you said, but still a lot of things to work on.
Still the old 3 tries in 5 minutes there. Eh?
Don't like it. Don't go there.
Just to get the heart rate going, just to remind you what we're in for the next, hopefully, 30 weeks of footy.
Well, how?
Make the grand final.
Yeah. Have you checked your heart? Have you checked your heart out before?
Check out my. I'm resting at about 81 at the moment, so I'm alright.
Alright. How when on game day? Where does that rise to?
Oh, we're talking 126. Pretty quickly.
I think everybody.
That's a kick-off before Dylan's jammed in for the third time in the game.
Oh, let's just hope that our the Warriors can keep our heart rates down this season. Well, if it goes up, it's because it's an excitement because we're excited.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly. But okay, look, let's just keep continuing about. You mentioned Luke Hanson before. Luke Hanson, I'm a big fan. We said this last year, towards the end of last year when the New South Wales Cup team was, they were just destroying everybody in the grand final of the New South Wales Cup game and the interstate game. He was amazing on attack, kicking game, defence, great player. If I was Andrew Webster, if I've got Andrew Webster's hat on, coach's hat on, I'll be penciling him Hansen in the number 6 jersey to start. Not because I don't think Harris Tavita is good enough or anything like that. He's just coming back from injury. His first game will be round 1 if he gets picked. But I can't help but feel that he'd be able to use as a utility.
Yeah, I mean, we've had this conversation, quite a bit over the last year, the Harris Tavita question, and I think I'm generally the one that's, I'm more for him. So I probably would still have him in the 6 jersey, but yeah, I mean, Hansen's definitely knocking on the door. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him get a run for sure. As I mentioned before, I thought he looked solid without being sort of spectacular, but sort of gave us a bit of a glimpse of what he's capable of. And yeah, I mean, you can't deny the fact that he did do a good job with the New South Wales Cup team last year. I mean, obviously, as a big step up from New South Wales Cup to to the first grade NRL Warriors team, but you can only play your hand with what's in front of you, and he's done that well in the last couple of years. So, I mean, you imagine we'll definitely see him at some point. This year, it'll just be a matter of when, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I think so. What about Boyd? Are you confident Boyd can do the job? Filling in Metcalf's boots for the first 6 or 7 rounds before he comes back.
I mean, he will. I'm confident he will be in the jersey, but whether I'm confident that he can do it, he hardly filled us with confidence last year, did he? He had a couple of good games, but he was just never quite able to. And then there was a few injuries going around, and I'm pretty gutted at Tamara Martin's, to be honest. I thought that if he was fit, I would have really liked to have seen him get a go at that 7 jersey. We didn't really see it at all last year. I think it was only one game that he started, and I think it was against the Panthers from memory, and he got knocked out about 20 minutes in, and then Boyd was back the next week. I'm not confident that he'll do it. Just on what he was doing in first grade last year, but when he went back to New South Wales Cup, he was really good. So once again, it's that step up and being able to sort of we probably know he's got it in him, but. Confidence thing. There was obviously that Knights game where he had about three chances to win the game. Unfortunately, Leka scored the try of the year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I've still got still a big question mark for me. What about you, bro?
Yeah, I'm with you on this one. I thought he was pretty good in the trials, but until we see how he goes round 1, let's just see how he goes round 1. Yeah, wait to see how he goes round 1. I mean, I think consistency is the word. He needs to put consistent performances up. Not just have a good game here and stuff like that. I think, we all know he can kick, but I just think the kicking needs some, in terms of the strategy about where you're placing the kick and stuff, that needs to improve. I think Hansen's, they gave Hansen a chance to steer the team in the trials, and I thought he did pretty well. It's an interesting one. So yeah, I'm with you on that one. Like I said, I am confident of him doing the job, but like I said, I just need to see some consistency. To see whether because when Metcalf comes back, the question then goes to who takes the number 6. Does it stay with Harris Tavita? Does it stay with Hansen, or does Boyd fill that number 6 jersey? You know what I mean? So the thing is, bro, is that Boyd, this is his last season contracted to the Warriors. I really don't see him being extended. I can't see him being extended. We started, before injuries came along, the Warriors have got 7 halves on their books. So you've got, Nick Metcalf, you've got Harris Tavita, Tamari Martin, you've got Jett Cleary, you've got Hansen, Jai Linane, and Boyd. Did I mention Boyd? Okay, yeah. So you've got about seven halves. They've got 7 halves on their books, and now they've had a few injuries now. So I think they've got quite a few now. Harry Inch as well. Harry Inch is starting to get in there as well. So I just think that, that they won't extend him. So
yeah, it was pretty weird when he extended last year. I thought, it was.
We took a player option. It was a player option. He had an option to so he took it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, he took it, and
he would have been allowed to go elsewhere because. Yeah, it'd be more. Well, maybe more a club that doesn't have 6 other pretty capable 7s. You know, there's obviously
Yeah.
the question of Jett Cleary, whether we'll finally get to see him have a run. You know, he must be getting older now. I feel like he's been there for a couple of years now. Everyone's been like, no, he's too young. But you know, just throw him in there and see what happens.
Yep, I'm totally with you. That was going to be my next question. Jett Cleary. You know, will we see Jett Cleary make his first grade debut in 2026? Me, I hope so. I really think he should have a go. But and I'm with you on this one. I'm hearing I see a lot of comments who are saying, "Oh, he's not ready. He's not ready." How the heck do you know if he's ready or not?
Yeah.
From what I see, he's ready. Totally ready. I think he's ready. You know, Nathan Cleary made his debut, you know, for the Panthers at the age of 18. I'm pretty sure people would have been saying the same thing. He's not ready. How the heck do you know he's ready or not? This is what annoys me with these comments. You know, he's putting out performances, doing great performances. How do you know he's not ready?
Yeah.
He trains with the first grade side, so it's not like he's not. It's not like he's not getting, the experience of playing with that caliber of player. How do you know he's not ready? And how will you know how he goes until he gets a go? I mean, back then, you know, if you say, "Oh, Nathan Cleary, 18, but he's Nathan Cleary." Well, how do you know back then that he was going to do what he's done? How do you know? You just don't know. So, they saw the potential. Obviously, his dad saw the potential and said, "I'm going to give him a go. He's ready. I know he's ready." And I think Jett is in the same boat. Who knows what he can do? I think he's showing glimpses of what he could do, and I just think he just needs the opportunity. And he would have got opportunities in the trials if he wasn't injured.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, he's not in the top 30 yet, but he'll move into the top 30 next year. So he's obviously they'll want to
passionate grounds.
Yeah, I'm sure that they'll want to keep him in there to make sure that the club grows on him more and that he can stay and do his own thing. I hope so. I really hope so.
Yeah. I'm chips in on him getting a run this year at some point.
He's got all the skills. He can run. He can tackle. He can attack, run. He can defend. He can kick. What else do you want? He just needs the opportunity. Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. All good. So look, mate. We'll start rounding everything up. Let's just go with the team list. It's just off your top of your head. Have you got? You've got one there, haven't you? You've written one down, haven't you? A team list. Your predicted team list for round one against the Chooks.
Jotted one down for Friday the 6th of March. It's my daughter's birthday. A great day. I'm actually going to be at a wedding that night, so I'll be watching the game on the old phone. But so should I just list out my team and then we can you go for it. Yep, sweet.
Yep.
So I've gone with Tuapiki at number 1.
Nice.
Roger on the wing with Cam Pereira on the other wing.
Yep.
And then Chance and Adam Pompey in the centres.
Yeah.
And then I've stuck with my boy Harris Tavita at 5'8", and Tana Boyd at 7.
Yep.
Although I've sort of just from talking before, I've almost talked myself out of Boyd at 7, but I think that seems clear that will happen.
Yeah.
And then I've got Fisher Harris and Valmoaga in the front row, the props. Obviously Barnett's out sounds like he'll be back for week 2, so that's exciting times. No surprises, Wade Egan at number 9. Second row, I've got Kate. I think I've got Kate Pearl there just because I know that he'll be there. I probably wouldn't have him there as one of my top ones. I feel like he's someone that we could probably afford for him to leave on compassionate grounds, and we've got enough depth there.
Yeah.
But I mean, no digging him. He's a good player, and you know what you're getting. Yeah. And then I've got Laban starting at 12.
I like that. Yeah.
Aaron Clark obviously at 13. And then my bench is looking like Healy, Lika Halasima, Jackson Ford, Tanisdale Smith. And then I've got Luke Hanson and DWZ on the bench as obviously halves cover, and then DWZ as outside back cover.
Nice, bro. Well, I've just been jotting quickly the team down there. I think, and this is a mixture of what I want to see as a fan, but also a mixture of what I think Webster will go with. So there's a bit of a mixture of everything. So Tuapiki for me, fullback as well. Roger on one wing. The two centre positions, Pompey and Chance. And I put DWZ on the other wing, and that's me that's my
Yeah.
that's my I think that's where I'm thinking Webster will go for this first game. That's me thinking that. Number 6, Hanson. 7, Boyd. 8, Fisher Harris. 8 Fisher Harris. 9, Wade Egan. 10, Mitch Barnett, if he's available for round 1, because I think he's back round 1 or 2. So Mitch Barnett. 11, I've got Lecker. 12, I've got Capewell. Again, another thinking that's where Webster's going to go. But I like Laban. I'm a big fan of Jacob Laban, so that's a hard one for me. 13, Aaron Clark. 14, I've got Healy. 15, Jackson Ford. 16, Valmonga. 17, I've got Laban. And I know that there's Tanner Stale Smith as well, so that's a hard one there too. But I think Ford and Valmonga can cover the props, the front row areas. In 18 and 19, Harris Tavita. In 19, got to think of an outside back, probably Liatawa. But that's just me. That's a quick list I've just put together. But that's that. Don't know if it's going to be accurate on the day when they play the Sharks, but yeah, we'll see.
I mean, you could say that there's probably most of them are. We know what's going to happen. It's probably just that whether there will be that move at fullback, and then if that happens, then what happens in the centres.
Yep.
Obviously, number 6 jersey. I think Boyd's probably got the 7, doesn't he? Like I can't see anyone else playing 7. And then number 10, whether or not Barnett's back, and then sort of second row. Imagine Capewell will be there, and it'll be who else will be there. Obviously, Nuakore is there as well, but I think from what we've seen from him the last few years, he probably just needs to earn his jersey back just with the development of some of these young guys, eh? So
yeah.
And then I do hope Healy's there, gets Healy, and we know what sort of Wade Egan's like with his head knocks, and then plenty of excitement in the backs there. So we're excited to see how the 6-man bench, what the strategy's going to be with the 6-man bench.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because if the halves, for example, are not doing well, if they're not doing well, to say that someone's having an off game, you can actually replace them. Yeah, like you say, but before you couldn't do that because you had a utility, like you had a Healy or a Tamati, which he can play the halves, but you've got someone there set to play that's just a like for like type thing. So that's going to be interesting. But we'll see what happens come round 1 to see how accurate our teams are on that game day. I'm going to ask you, because I know you've done this already, your season predictions for each club, and I'll sit this one out. Okay. Because just because of time, during in your season predictions, give us some of your big hot takes on this one as well.
Sure thing.
Yep.
I'll start at the bottom. I got the Dragons getting the wooden spoon. Obviously last year I gave the wooden spoon to my beloved Raiders, and they ended up being the minor premiers. So it was a bit of not a great hot take, bit of a cold take that one, but. I sort of mentioned it before, but you just look at that Dragons team on paper and there's just nothing to excite you at all. Yeah. They're obviously gone to Vegas this year because they have to give everyone a go. But of those 4 teams that are playing at Vegas this year, I'm not really high on any of them, and you'll probably find that out here.
I hope Setu too does really well because he's debuting for the Dragons.
I did see that. Yeah. It's nice to see. But apart from that, very little to be excited about. You look at their spine of Cook, Flanagan, Gutherson. I can't even think of who's playing 6. Must be King Tommy, I think his name is. So they're all like a couple of has-beens with a little bit of young spark there. But Dragons, wooden spoon. Sorry, Dragons fans. I got the Cowboys at 16th. I think the last few years they've really just dropped further down the pecking order. I've got Todd Payton as my first coach to lose his job for the year as well.
That's your hot take.
He's the last few years he's been sort of with the talent he's got on that team, they should be doing a lot better. But and they probably still can beat any team in the comp. But I just think that from what we've seen the last few years, they're just I can't see them making a big run, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them losing some of those tight games they've been winning the last few years. And then once Payton goes, it'll all implode.
Yeah.
I got the Titans at 15th, so they're got them coming up a place from last year, finished 16th. Similarly, you look at the team, and there's some excitement there, but they obviously just haven't been able to make it work. We've lost Fafita this year. It could end up being a good thing. It seemed like he was a bit of a distraction last year in the end, but they've done nothing the last few years to make me think they're going to get much better. I've got the Seagulls in 14th, so they finished 10th last year, so I've got them sliding down quite a bit. If Todd Payton's not the first coach to go, I wouldn't be surprised to see it being Anthony Seibold. They've obviously lost Cherry Evans, and I feel like there might be some hard feelings with the club and some of the fans. Getting rid of a guy who's that much of a club legend, huge call. I've got the Knights at 13th. I think the sign of Dylan Brown will end up being a good one for them. I think I was rated Dylan Brown. We saw what he did in the Kiwis jersey last year. He was the best player in the comps and was robbed of the whatever the international
golden boot.
Yeah, I've forgotten what its name is because it's so bloody absolute. The fact they gave it to Blimmin Harry Grant last year. But I mean, so if Dylan Brown can find some of that form, they've obviously got Ponga there as well, so they've got one of the better looking spines in the comp, that's for sure. I'll go them. Been a little bit better than last year. They were this year's wins winners, so I've got them improving, but I don't think they'll make the 8 or get close to it. The Bulldogs obviously had a good season last year, but I've got them slipping down quite a bit this year.
Wow.
I got them at 12th. It's just whether that defensive sort of brand of footy is going to work for them some more. You look at the sort of ins and outs, and they're not losing too much, but not gaining too much. So, but I just think there's too many other good teams in the comp, and they're one that they might slip off the radar a little bit.
Yeah.
Similarly, the Sharks finished 5th last year. I've got them at 11th. So they're just another team that you look on paper and there's a bit of talent there, but it just seems like there's something lacking there. They've had a couple of alright seasons, but they sort of have bowed out. They did alright in the finals last year. I think they beat the Raiders from memory. So, but yeah, that's them. And then I've got my beloved Raiders finishing 10th. So that's another hot take. The Raiders, who were
in the finals,
were the minor premiers of last year, and they are one of my favourite. They are my second favourite team. I've got them missing the finals. I think the loss of Jamal Fogarty will be huge. Ethan, what's his name? Sanders, or was that the good one? No. Yeah, I think that's the guy playing 7. He's got very little experience, and I think the loss of Fogarty will be huge there. They probably had that last year was no one really saw that coming, and I can see them just falling down a little bit. So I've got them at 10th. I've got your beloved Tigers at 9th, John, not making the 8, is one of your hot takes was for the year. You had them making the 8.
They're doing it this year.
They'll be back in their rightful place in 9th. We all love to see the Tigers playing 9th, so it's in at 9th. They were 13th last year, so I've got them improving a bit. I see Benji's re-signed, but it was interesting to see his comments saying he didn't feel like he deserved it because the results still they still weren't making the 8 and that sort of thing. So that's saying something when you're finishing 13th and the club's saying well done, you're doing a good job. It's like, well, there's some talent in that roster. Hopefully he can spark the fire. But I've got them just missing down the 8. But the Dolphins finally making the 8. The Finns
finally
they've been a great team the last few years. Scored the most points in the comp last year, so they've still got some work to do defensively. But I think this is the year for them to make the 8. I wouldn't be surprised if them finish even higher. They've come a long way in the last few years. Had some good victories. And there's you look at that team, they seem to just have a really well balanced team, and everyone knows their role and does it well. So I've got them improving from 9th to 8th. Eels 7th. Talked quite highly of the Eels towards the end of last year. I think they were looking really good at the end there. We've obviously got Moses. Brown's gone, but they've got the likes of Maungi, if he's hanging around after his little indiscretion. Being around off season never fails to.
Apparently, it was a 2 year. Was a photo taken 2 years ago. Apparently, I read. I don't know if it's true or not. But anyway, keep going.
And we got Josh Papali as well. So he really came to his own towards the end of last year. So if Moses is fit, I think I like the look of the Eels.
Yep.
Got the Panthers 6. I can't have them missing out on the 8th. I think they've obviously slid from the previous years, but in saying that, they still had a pretty good run last year, finished 7th and nearly made the finals again. I've got the Storm at 5th. Obviously, you can't really see them missing the 8th, but obviously they've lost Pappenhausen, and there's a bit of drama with the whole Zach Lomax situation. Big Nasser's gone, so they won't miss the 8 because the Storm don't miss the 8. But I think they'll just from 3rd last year. I've got them slipping down a few spots. Got our beloved Waz and the top 4, John. I do have them. I think that they're in a good spot. And
I'd be angry if you didn't put them there, mate.
It's their premiership window. They need to, So if they can keep relatively injury free, obviously last year we saw what could happen. They're doing so well and then a couple of injuries. So if they can keep you relatively injury free in those key positions, I think they'll be there and finding it out deep into September. Got the Broncos at 3rd, obviously the premiers from last year. You look at their sort of gains and losses; they're still looking like a pretty solid team. It will just depend on whether the Payne Haas drama sort of puts them off a little bit. But got them sitting at 3rd, and then I've got the Roosters at 2nd, with Cherry Evans going there. I think there's still a lot to like. If what's his name? Sam Walker can stay fit. He'll be big. I think Hugo Savala's still there. He was really good last year as well. So if they find a spot for him, I like what I see from the Roosters. And I've got the Bunnies finishing 1st. As much as it pains me to say, I just think I look at their back line, and I look at their 4-pack. You look at their starting team, and there's a lot of talent there. If they can get the best out of a feeder, which if anyone can do it, Wayne Bennett will be able to. You got the likes of the feeder. You got Kaloa Matangi. You got Cameron Murray, Cody Walker probably in the final couple of years, but he's still playing some great footy. You got Dry Gary playing out the back, got the Trell in the centres with Whiten. It's a stacked team. They've had a couple of pretty disappointing seasons. 14th last year, but I'm picking a big season from the Bunnies.
Nice, mate. I like that. How much did your mate Hamish, whatever his name is, pay you to say that? How much did he pay you to say that?
I hope he doesn't hear this because I want to hear the end of it.
You can say that's another wedding present for him. But anyway, no, I like that, mate. Like I said, on our next episode, I'll give my season prediction. It might have a bit of an advantage because some games will be played, but it's only one game. But as you mentioned before, my hot take for the season is that the Tigers are gonna break their finals drought, and make it into the 8. And that was my hot take, and I actually had a bit of a mixed response. A lot of people were saying, "You're dreaming, mate. You're dreaming," but a lot of people were actually agreeing because the Tigers, they're actually on paper they look really good.
Oh yeah,
they look amazing on paper. They just haven't been able to put the performances together. But I don't know what I said. I said this on my hot take video. Is that I just have this gut feeling that something's just going to happen. That this year's going to be the year that the team on paper is going to actually put the performances on the field. I just have that feeling. I'm not saying they're going to win it or going near the top 4. I'm just saying I reckon they're going to crack the 8 this year. That's all I'm saying. And
I'd love to see it, John.
Me too. Me too. So if you're a Tigers fan, you hear this, subscribe. Subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to this because we're giving you the love here from this. So. But anyway, look, mate, we'll cut it out there because we've been speaking way too long. Thanks everyone for listening in. Tuning in to us. This is our first episode, so hopefully the Warriors won't be as rusty as we have been tonight. But thanks everyone. Share the Couch Warriors love. We need your subscriptions. Subscriptions is the way to say it. I don't know. So just subscribe. Just like, comment, subscribe. Yeah, just subscribe and follow us on our social channels. We're on Facebook, Instagram, What else? We're on TikTok. Yeah, just go to YouTube and subscribe because we love doing this. This is our third season, as we mentioned before, and we're going to bring you a great season of NRL footy, of Warriors footy, and Kiwis footy when it comes along because the World Cup's this year. So have a good night, everyone, and yeah, see you next week.
See you next week. Choo choo, we've got the fair.